guys, my name is Courtney. I am a recent graduate from Chamberlain College of Nursing. I graduated on December 4th and I took my NCLEX December 15th, and it is now February, the end of February, and I've just accepted my dream position in a level 4 NICU, you guys, as a new grad. So I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions regarding that experience, and I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions now. If you see me looking down, it's because all the questions are here on my laptop. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty. So question number 1, when did I start applying for jobs? This varies from person to person. For me specifically, if I remember correctly, I definitely know that I applied for jobs after nursing school. I think I might have applied for a few before I took my NCLEX, but I don't remember specifically. It was definitely after nursing school though. I know some people apply like during nursing school in their last semester, and that's great. I had a friend who did that because the program she was trying to get into, their residency deadline application window closed in November. We didn't graduate until December. So it really just depends on where you're trying to go. If you're trying to get into a residency, then most definitely it's really important to meet those deadlines, because if you don't meet that deadline and you miss the application window, you're gonna have to wait until the next cohort. But as far as what do I suggest doing, the thing about being a new grad that no one tells you is that you're gonna have to be patient. A lot of places, a lot of jobs will tell you we need 6 months experience, a year experience. And in nursing school, all we heard was there's always openings. You're going to have such an easy time finding a job. But that was not my experience. And that was not the experience for a lot of people that I know personally. So be patient and just keep applying. Question number 2, what did the interviewer ask you? Okay, you guys. My questions were not nearly as difficult as I thought they would be. And if I'm being completely honest, I feel like after my first interview, they already knew they wanted me. My resume was very unique, and that made me stand out. You guys, I got a nickname because of my resume. And the director told me, Courtney, just so you know, if you end up getting hired here, this is going to be your nickname forever, basically. So to answer your question, what did they ask? My questions were, again, very easy questions. I feel like just very basic interview questions. Tell me about yourself. Why nursing? Why NICU? So when you're going through your interview questions, just make sure that you guys really practice those, especially if you're trying to get into a specialty. You don't want to go in there unprepared. So make sure that you have your stories together. Make sure that you have your answers and everything aligned. And the thing about interviews, you're never going to have the same answer, but as long as your base story is the same, you'll be okay. I know it's stressful because you go in and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm already so nervous and now I have to come up with answers. But seriously, as long as you practice, your base story stays the same. The way you formulate your answers might change, but the underlying message of your answer stays the same. So that's my one tip about that. Make sure you guys practice. Most definitely practice. Next question. Did you have connections there already? How did you make this magic happen? So proud of you. Thank you so much. No, I did not have any connections at this hospital. In fact, when I applied, I literally expected nothing. I expected not a call back, nothing at all. So you guys can imagine my surprise when I got the email saying we want to interview you. But no, my only connection was God. That was it. I don't know anyone that works at that hospital. So it was literally meant to be. It was my time. And that is all owed to the big man upstairs, because I had nothing to do with that, you guys. Literally, my story it's wild. And I'll have to share that another day with you guys. But when I look back on my story, it wasn't me. So yeah, no, I had no connections. So don't stress about, oh, I don't know anyone on the inside. You don't need to know anyone on the inside. The only person you need to know is yourself. So do everything you can to make yourself stand out. Don't worry about, oh, well, they know so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. That's great. Good for them. But you can still get hired from not knowing anyone on the inside. Of course, I'm not saying that it doesn't help. But I know people who literally applied to the hospital they work at and they didn't get hired there. So again, it doesn't matter if you work on the inside or not. I think what really helps people stand out is their passion and just their dedication to that specific area, and that will show in your interview. So just keep that in mind, you guys. Congratulations on getting into the NICU. Oh, thank you so much. What was the hardest interview questions you were asked? Again, I wasn't asked any hard interview questions. And before my interview, I was literally freaking out, you guys, because I was so nervous they were going to ask questions like very specific to the NICU. And as a new grad, you know, we know nothing. So just very basic fundamental stuff. So that was really nerve-wracking, but no, I wasn't asked any questions regarding like patient care or NICU diseases or process, nothing like that. And my best friend, she actually is going through the residency with me, but on her dream unit, which is pediatric hematology and oncology, and her interviewers did not ask her any of those questions either, you guys. So honestly, don't stress about that. And that's not to say that they won't ask you that, because I have another friend who was asked about a specific disease process, which I thought was very strange. But you have to remember that these recruiters know that we're new grads. They aren't expecting us to know things like that. So yeah, no, don't stress about that. Just practice basic interview questions. There's so many videos on YouTube, and speak from your heart. You literally just have to make yourself vulnerable, be willing to open up and speak from your heart, because that's the only way that they'll be able to see, okay, they really, really want this position. I want to be a NICU nurse, but I don't have previous tech experience or anything. Can you give some tips? I graduate this year. Absolutely. My interview process was there was a interview with the clinical educator and the clinical director. And then after that, I had an interview with the unit managers. And after that, I had a shadow experience with the nurse. And the nurse that I shadowed has been there for several years. And she told me when she got hired, she had no NICU experience. She said, I only had 1 day working in the NICU, and that was the only experience that she had. So it's absolutely not impossible to get hired in the NICU with no experience. The thing about the NICU is it's a very highly specialized area. And again, they know this. And with COVID, a lot of people haven't had clinical. So they know this as well. You guys have to remember that they know these things. So if you're not able to get into like clinicals or anything like that where you can gain that NICU experience, don't stress about it. Like I said before, speak from your heart and just try to make your resume as NICU focused as you possibly can. But to answer your question, you don't have previous tech experience. However, you are a nurse, and you said that you are graduating this year, which is great. But you have had clinical experience, so you can speak on just like the basic fundamental care that you provided. That's really what teching is about. It's just we provide basic fundamental patient care. So that carries you a long way as well in the interviewing process. Are you excited? You guys, I am over the moon excited. I am over the moon excited. I knew that I always wanted to be a NICU nurse. I knew that this would happen one day in my journey. I just did not expect it to happen this soon in my journey. So the fact that I landed exactly where I wanted to be straight out of school, you guys, I could not be more thankful. So yes, I'm really excited about this journey. Are you working on days or nights? So the way my residency works is we will flip-flop. So we do 6 weeks on days, and then we switch to 6 weeks on nights, and then we keep going. My residency is 18 months long. I'm not sure how long we're on like orientation with the preceptor, but I'm assuming it'll be longer since I'm in a specialized area in a level 4 NICU. So that's the highest level that you can have. So I'm not sure. These are all questions that I'll have to have answered during orientation, but for now I'll be switching between days and nights. Did the interviewer ask you specific questions regarding how to care for the baby or about specific disease processes? I touched on this earlier, and no, they did not ask me any specific questions like that. They were very, very broad questions, just getting to know me as a person. Again, they already know. The director and educator both told me in my interview, we know that you're a new grad. We're not expecting you to know these things. And that really relaxed me, because I had heard of people being asked these kinds of questions, but that wasn't the situation for me. But again, it'll be different everywhere. So I can't speak for other hospitals. I can only speak for my hospital and my unit. And no, we did not get asked anything like that. What are the steps into applying for a residency program in a specialty? So I know different states do things differently, but for me and my experience and the hospitals that I applied to, the experience was basically the same. You apply like you would any other job. they might ask for different things. So first, I would just make sure that you know the deadline. When is the deadline? When does the application window open up? Do not wait until the last minute to submit your application, you guys. You have to remember, especially if you're going into a specialty area, they get hundreds of applications a day, hundreds of applications. So you want to be that person that stands out immediately. You don't want to wait until the last minute. So get that done as soon as you can. Also, when you're looking through the residency program, look for what's required for your application. Some places might require letters of recommendation. Some places might require cover letter. Some places might require your certifications. You just have to look through and make sure that you have all that lined up, because you don't want to be that person that's missing something. They might throw your application away if you're missing something. So just make sure that you have everything all lined up and make sure you meet the deadline. No question, but you're amazing. Love seeing your journey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for following me along my nursing school journey. And now you guys get to come along with me to my journey to becoming a NICU nurse. So I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Tell us about your interview experience and tips for new nurses who will be job hunting. My interview experience was a very unique one. It started with them telling me, "We love your resume." So that immediately relaxed me, because I had several people look at my resume and I received very mixed feedback, but a lot of the feedback I received was that my resume was too much. However, the resume template that my school provided for me, it didn't showcase me as a person. So I used completely different template, and that really helped me stand out. She literally told me, "Your resume stood out," and so I pulled it. So you guys have to remember that when you're applying, make your resume stand out. You have to remember, especially if you're going into a specialty, a lot of people are applying for this job, so you have to make yourself stand out. I feel like the hardest part of the whole process, honestly, was probably the interviews, only because I'm not the type of person to go and just like talk about myself. I don't like boasting. I don't like doing those kinds of things. And to be honest, my interviewers weren't looking for that. They weren't looking for me to tell them I'm the best. They were just looking to get to know me as a person and get to know why I want to be in the NICU. They just wanted to know my passions. That's it. And I appreciated that about them, because I didn't feel like I had to put myself on a pedestal and knock everyone else down. I'm not that type of person. So again, it's different everywhere you go, you guys. I'm strictly speaking on my experience. Tips for new nurses who are job hunting: be patient. Be patient. I know it's so stressful when you see everyone else around you getting hired and you're still sitting in limbo wondering, okay, am I going to find a job? You will find a job. Be patient. My biggest piece of advice that I can give you, and this is probably most definitely unpopular opinion, do not apply to jobs just to apply to them, because you have to remember 6 months from now or a year from now, you're going to be miserable, because you're going to get burned out. I'm going to get burned out. But the difference is I love what I'm doing. Therefore, the way I handle it is going to be different. You have to remember, nursing is a huge field. There's a job for everybody. And I know that a lot of people will tell you, you need to start in med surg, you need to start here, you need to start there. No, you don't. You're not going to tell someone who doesn't like pediatrics, go apply for a pediatric job just because that's the only opening. That's not the job for them. So you just have to be patient. And you guys, I understand that that's not financially feasible for everybody, but just be patient, okay? Everything will happen in God's time, so you have to be patient. And I also hear often like, oh, it's okay. Go take whatever job you can get, and then in 6 months, transfer. Don't do that, you guys. Don't be that person, okay? You guys have to remember that these hospitals put a lot of time and resources and money into hiring you. And the thing is, you applied for this job knowing this was not where you want it to be. So don't be that person. And again, I know that's not the situation for everyone, and some people leave for other reasons. Maybe you're facing really bad coworker conflicts, or you realize after a while, okay, this is not where I want to be, and that's fine. But I'm saying don't go into a job and take a position from someone else knowing that in 6 months you're going to leave. I don't know. For me, I just don't think that that's fair. It's very inconsiderate to the potential new hires who really wanted that position, and it's very unfair to the hospital that you're applying to. So just be patient. Everything will happen in due time. And this is only just a small little bump in the road, you guys, okay? Did you apply for a NICU new grad program or just a NICU RN position? So my specific position is a residency program, and it's 18 months long. How can I become a NICU nurse? I'm in my first semester of nursing school. congratulations. That's really exciting. My biggest piece of advice is to look at the hospital that you're wanting to work at. See if you can get shadowing experience. See if you can connect with a nurse on the unit. See if they have any tech positions open or any student nurse positions. I know for my hospital specifically, they do have a student nurse program, specifically in the NICU. So that is also a way to get your foot in the door. However, I do know it's really hard to find NICU specific opportunities. And if you can't do that, maybe try like OB or mother baby. And again, if you can't do that, just being a tech in general is incredible experience because you learn time management, proper delegation techniques, and just basic fundamental patient care, and that'll help you also in the NICU. Can we hear your best friend's interview questions for Peds Oncology? Congrats to you both. Thank you so much. As you guys can see, Susanna is not here today. She had other things to do this morning, and I wanted to get this video out of the way, but she did share her experience with me, and her experience was basically like mine. There were no questions that were completely out of left field, just very specific, like getting to know you kind of questions. Nothing too crazy, you guys. Any tips on interviewing and resume? I never had a hospital job before, so I don't know what to put on my resume or what topic to discuss for an interview. You guys, I cannot stress this enough. Do not use the resume template that your school provides you. It's a great place to start, but if you're wanting to stand out, don't use that template. And I'm only saying that because you guys have to remember everyone in your school is going to be using that template. So if you're turning that same template in and the recruiter is getting 200 plus applications, your resume is not going to stand out. They're not going to read through 200 plus resumes, you guys. You have to make sure that your resume stands out. Like I said before, find a template. There's templates on Etsy, Google, everywhere. Find a template, make your resume stand out. What I did was I had a preceptorship in the NICU. So my last semester of nursing school was spent in the NICU. So that obviously helped me a lot. However, I honestly feel like I would have been okay without it. There are nurses in my NICU who were hired with no previous NICU experience. So don't let that stop you, and don't let that be the reason that you don't apply. Really make your resume stand out, you guys. I got so many compliments on my resume from the hiring team, from the managers, and from everybody. And honestly, it was great because I told you guys previously, I was nervous to turn my resume in because I did receive mixed feedback. I know that my resume is very unique, but it made me stand out. Oh, and as far as what to discuss in an interview, you'll formulate questions based off of those questions. But if you don't have any, just think about questions that you can ask before and write them down. That's what I did. So that way you're not stressing on the spot about, okay, what do I ask them? Like, just have specific questions already in mind. You can just ask like, how's the flow of the unit? People say ask the nurse-patient ratio. I personally don't ask that, only because at the end of the day, if they tell you you have 3 patients or 4 patients or whatever, you're going to take the assignment, you know? So look on YouTube though, if you're still struggling with that. There are several questions and interview videos on YouTube that will help drastically as well. Last question, you guys, is from my friend Michelle. She said, how does one become a bad beat like yourself? You guys, my friend is a new grad and she got hired in an ER and ICU, okay? Not just ER or ICU, no, ER and ICU. So who's the real bad beat here, you guys? I'll let you guys decide. Well, thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I'm planning on documenting my journey as a NICU nurse. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.